Right, golf swing basics, the takeaway. It's something so many golfers think so much about. Let's give you my general ideas of what you're trying to achieve in a takeaway, how important it is, how you take the club away from the ball in your backswing, what it can and certainly can't do for your golf. Golf swing basics takeaway ideas in today's lesson. Question before we get started, up in this box. Did you or have you struggled with your takeaway in the past, and have you worked on it? Up here, what have you been doing with your takeaway? You can tell me in the comments down below. As always, this video was filmed at PGA Catalunya in Spain, beautiful golf resort on one of the most picturesque holes I've ever played. Well, thanks to your golf travel. Let's get taken away. So I'm going to use my takeaway in my backswing to try and set themes for patterns that I want then repeating on the downswing, through into impact, and then out into my shot. Some of the biggest problems I see with people when it comes to thinking about their takeaway is that they're doing it in an abstract way, not relating it to what happens down impact. So whatever you're doing in your takeaway, so if it's feeling like it's straighter, more inside, more twists with faces, whatever it is, I want you to make sure that it is affecting your delivery and helping your delivery. That's the key feature when it comes to thinking about your takeaway. So my themes with my backswing, as I pull that club away, I'm going to try and set the club on a path which to me will feel relatively straight, but it's actually coming on a slight curve in towards me. So if you watch the head as it moves back from the ball, feeling relatively straight, but as it comes back, it's now moved inside of where the ball is, and it's now parallel to the line my feet along. So the line I want my feet, the point which is parallel to the ball to target line, I'm going to take that club away and somehow get that club to line up with that imaginary line on the ground. Now what I want also to happen, this to happen at first parallel. So as soon as the club gets to its first parallel to the ground point. Now in your golf swing you'll have lots of different parallel points, but this first parallel and from the ball to it is kind of generally known as what your takeaway is. So variations that you can see on this theme, I've had people hit very good shots with takeaways where the club comes behind them quite early. I've had takeaways where people take the club out to the right side of them quite early, but then they hit good shots. But the reason you'll see different takeaways is because it doesn't set the theme for the whole swing. So what they'll do is they'll take the club away in a certain position, so in an abstract kind of outward position, but then as they get down on the downswing they'll get back into this parallel that we talked about just a second ago, which is parallel to my feet line, to then allow that club to come through on a straighter path. So generally, if you're looking to fix, or a new golfer trying to build your swing, getting that takeaway to work in a more logical in your mind way will help you hopefully set these better themes to control path. So let's give you some ideas of how to control that direction of that takeaway to kick you off. So I'm going to put a club down by my feet here along this ball to target line, parallel foot line that I'm using. So I've got a line here I want the ball to fly along, and I've got my target or my stance line here which is parallel to that. And what I'm going to do is as I take the club back, I'm going to stop at first parallel, try not to look, so I'm still looking down at the ball, and have a look where it is. So I can see here and I look down, this is basically parallel to this line. So if I'm someone who takes the club back and tends to add an angle, so say my wrists get involved, I'm going to think, okay, that's not parallel, so how do I fix that? For me, it would be maybe thinking that you're not using your wrist, just letting that club turn as your body starts to turn back to get that first parallel, and vice versa if you're someone who picks the club up out here. Again, go there, stop, don't look at it, just try and put it there, then have a look. Okay, I take it too far outside. Trying to hit this line along the floor will help you set this theme for this straighter path. These kind of drills are perfect indoors, in your garden, at home, not on the tee, not on the golf course. You want to play when you get out on the golf course. Doing these kind of drills on a controlled area, even in front of reflections where you can actually see where it's going, make a massive difference for students. Now if I was hitting my driver or if I was hitting my iron, I'm going to try and feel that I'm in the same direction with my club path, with my takeaway, parallel to that foot line, that aiming line with my feet and my body. Same ideas. Some people get confused with cameras, so obviously as the club gets closer to you or the camera angle changes, there we go, we just changed the camera angle, you're going to see that these clubs look either further in front or behind you subject to where the camera is pointing. So try not to video yourself to do this. I would be doing this more with the line on the ground, and looking down is a much better reference, because then you've got parallax from cameras that do confuse people in this position. Now, once you feel you can hit certain directions with your backswing, you're quite good at getting this first parallel, I want you then to try and trick it. So I want you to hit some shots where you take it where the club is pointing now left at first parallel, hit some shots, see what kind of shape shot you get. I want you to hit somewhere you take it behind you earlier, so it's inside of this parallel, hit some shots. See what shots you create from that if it changes the shape. The real skill with your takeaway is being able to manipulate it when you want. So there's an aspect of trying to hit that perfect takeaway each time. That's fine, spend the time doing that, but I want you to make sure you're spending time trying to hit either side of it, because there are situations on the golf course where you might need to, just to get different shapes out of your shots. Next idea with this takeaway, what about the club face? What should that be doing? Now, when I get to this first position that we're talking about, parallel to the ground, I want the leading edge of the club, so this line here, the front groove of my club, almost parallel with my spine angle, so slightly turned down to the ground. Worst fault I see amongst amateur golfers is certainly turning it up to the sky. Now again, I can show you golfers hitting great golf shots from here, but as a general rule, this one tends to create high right, cutting away shots, everything those amateurs will really struggle with. So taking that club back and feeling more like it's pointing down at the ground is going to only help you hit stronger lofted and maybe drawing base shots. Now the way I'm doing that is completely in the way I feel my arms, and then in turn my wrists and hands move as I take that club away. So for me to get the club pointing more down at the ground, I feel like I turn the FJ glove pad here, so the pad on my FootJoy glove, down to the ground gradually as I turn back. So as I take that club back, I'm turning that down to the ground. In turn, that turns the head, the face, down to the ground, taking loft off the club in some ways. So for that first position, you want that club leading edge around parallel to your spine angle for you to have a better chance of controlling a good lofted, powerful impact. Again, like the other ideas with takeaway, when you take this club away, I want you to do somewhere you really turn the club down to the ground. See what shape shot it creates, hopefully a bit of an overdraw to the left. I want you to really turn the face up to the sky as you take that club back, so we get some high right ones. Again, there's a purpose, a need for those shots on the golf course, and the more you can control if it's turned to the ground, if it's around parallel to your spine angle, if it's turned to the sky, that's actually the skill here, where lots of people are searching for the perfect. You'll be better if you can manipulate around the perfect as well as hit that kind of sweet spot as well. Some drills to help you if you're struggling to hit these positions in your takeaway. Such a basic one, an old one, put the club in your tummy button here. So clubbing your tummy button, holding down the handle, so I'm holding on to the metal of the club here, and then I'm going to turn with my body and the club, and I'm going to keep it all connected to around, say, if this was a clock face, 12 o'clock in front of me, around 2 o'clock, take it up to 3 o'clock here. I'm just going to let it come away from my tummy, and again, there's that first parallel to my foot line. If you were somebody who takes it too far behind you, you're going to know if you do it with your wrists doing this way. If you're someone who takes it too far outside, you're going to know if you're someone who stands up, or again, if you just pull your arms up by how this disconnects from your tummy. Into your tummy button, getting that takeaway connected, hands, arms all together to about 2 o'clock, and then just hit that first parallel. Really does work for students. Second drill, right hand just down the side of the club, facing my target. Now as I pull the club back, I'm going to use this right hand to mimic what I want that face to do. So when I get to first parallel, again, I'm feeling like that hand's just pointing slightly down to the ground. So I don't want it turning up to the sky too much or aggressively down to the ground. Also what happens is I can really feel the rotations in the shaft with this flat right hand pulling and pushing on that club as I take it back. This is a great drill. This one really does work for students. Again, you can do this at home, in the office, in your bedroom, in the gardens. It's a great way to get the feel of the way the club is turning and twisting and moving in that takeaway. And then one last drill just with your takeaway, which I do with students, is just use one hand, because sometimes for people it's one hand that kind of takes control and does the funny twists in there. So try a few just with your left hand to hit that first parallel, see how easy it is. Does that make sense or not? If you're someone who uses the left hand to push out and flick back, then you might find that's quite hard. Then try a couple with just with your right hand, pulling it back, feel like you're just getting into that first parallel just with the right hand. Again, if you're someone who puts maybe big twists in the club, so turning it around the axis of the shaft this way, and it's the right hand doing it, you're going to feel that straight away. Just isolating those two hands, feeling the difference, how they want to get into that first parallel or not, will allow you to think, right, maybe my grip on my right hand is doing that, or maybe the way I'm holding it or feeling my right hand or left hand, whichever one is doing the issue, needs to change. I need to kind of feel a different movement with that because that one's dominating, taking over. All these ideas you can do with a driver, with an iron, and every club in between. What you're going to find is if you set your takeaway on a sensible pattern, one that matches up some of your movements in your golf swing, there's a better chance you're going to have a better delivery. Better delivery is going to promote better golf shots and hopefully a little bit more repeatable golf shots. Let me know in the comment section down below if this helps. Let me know if it's something you've struggled with all your life. Some people have just practiced their takeaway for years. Again, if you're making sure it applies to your delivery, sometimes you do have to practice this. For some people, they don't. They can have a quirky takeaway and hit plenty of good shots. Let me know in that comment section down below. If this helps, give it a thumbs up. And if you don't subscribe to the channel already, maybe give it a subscribe. We've got loads more tips coming.